You've probably looked in a mirror tens of thousands of times, brushing your teeth, checking your outfit, or adjusting your hair. A mirror is a tool you trust without much thought. It gives you a perfect reflection of yourself. Simple, right? But wait, let's dive into something you've probably never stopped to consider. Mirrors don't just reflect. They also reverse. When you raise your right hand, your reflection raises its left hand. When you hold up a book, the words appear backwards. The mirror flips left and right. Everyone knows this. Everyone accepts it. But here's the question that should really bother you. Why do mirrors flip left and right, but not up and down? Why do we get a reverse image of ourselves horizontally, yet vertically, everything stays the same? You might be thinking, that's just how mirrors work. But if you really think about it, this is a mystery that seems simple, but is harder to answer than you'd expect. Why doesn't the mirror flip both ways? It's an odd question to ask, but have you ever really wondered why mirrors behave this way? So let's try to unpack this. You've probably heard some of the common explanations people give. The first answer is that mirrors reverse left and right because our eyes are side by side horizontally. This seems reasonable, right? Maybe the way our eyes are arranged affects the way we perceive horizontal reversals differently than vertical ones. But here's the catch. If you close one eye or tilt your head sideways, the reversal still happens. It's the same with one eye open, no matter how you view it. So that explanation doesn't hold up. Let's move on to the second answer. It's simply how light reflects. Light bounces off surfaces, so something about that must cause the reversal. But once you think about it, this explanation also falls apart. Light doesn't have any preference for direction. When light bounces off a surface, it follows a simple rule. Angle in equals angle out. It doesn't care about left, right, up, or down. The law of reflection doesn't mention these directions, and there's nothing in the physics that says why it would reverse one and not the other. So this answer doesn't explain anything either. Then, of course, you get the answer that's not really an answer at all. That's just how mirrors work. This is where most people stop asking questions and accept the phenomenon without seeking a deeper understanding. It's like saying things fall because of gravity. Yes, that's true, but it's not a complete explanation. You're simply labeling the mystery instead of solving it. So what are we really looking at here? Why do mirrors seem to reverse left and right, but leave up and down unchanged? The problem isn't the mirror. It's the question we're asking. Mirrors don't actually reverse left and right, and I'll explain why. This question, why mirrors reverse left and right, assumes something that simply isn't true. It's based on a misinterpretation of what's actually happening. If we want to understand mirrors fully, we need to shift our perspective. You see, the mystery is not in the mirror itself. The mystery is in our own understanding of it. We've been fooled by our brains into thinking there's something special happening when we look into a mirror. What's actually going on is simpler than you might think. And once you understand the truth, you'll never look at a mirror the same way again. Stick with me, because the real answer is stranger and more fascinating than you ever imagined. Now let's dive deeper into why mirrors don't reverse left and right, and instead reverse front and back. The key lies in how your brain interprets what you see. We all know the feeling of standing in front of a mirror. You raise your right hand, and the reflection raises its left hand. It's so obvious it seems like a law of nature. Left becomes right, and we take it for granted. But let's dig into this. Stand in front of a mirror right now and raise your right hand. You'll see the reflection raising its left hand. The mirror has reversed your image horizontally. But have you ever tried lying down on the floor and facing the mirror? You'll notice something strange happens. Now, when you look at your reflection, the up and down axis seems reversed, and it starts to feel like the image is upside down. What's going on here? Did the mirror suddenly start reversing up and down instead of left and right? Did something in the physics change? No. The mirror is doing exactly what it always does. It reflects light, and in doing so, it reverses front and back. What's changed is your orientation to the mirror. You shifted from being upright to lying horizontally, and in doing so, the way you perceive the reversal changed too. This is a critical point. The mirror didn't change. You did. The mirror continues to perform the same function, reflecting light and flipping front to back. But your brain interprets the reversal differently based on how you position yourself. The left-right reversal we're so familiar with doesn't happen because of anything special the mirror is doing. It's happening because your brain assumes a rotation. When you look at your reflection, your mind naturally assumes that you would have to turn around 180 degrees to see yourself facing the opposite direction. And when you rotate, your left and right sides swap. This is an assumption, a mental model your brain creates to make sense of the situation. The truth is, the mirror never flips left and right at all. It flips front to back, and your brain adds the rotation that you think you see. But let's dig a little further. Try turning around so your back faces the mirror. Now, when you point to your right, your reflection points to its right too. No reversal of left and right. This is an important realization. The only thing that's changed is your relationship to the mirror. The mirror's behavior hasn't changed. It's still reflecting the light. Your brain, however, interprets it differently based on your position. So, if the mirror isn't flipping left and right, why does everyone think it does? It's because your brain expects a certain outcome. It expects the left-right reversal when you look into a mirror. The explanation behind this lies in the way your brain processes visual information. When you look in the mirror, your brain sees the image of a person facing you. It instinctively thinks about how a real person would have to position themselves to face you. They would have to turn around. When you rotate, your left and right sides swap positions. This is the origin of the left-right reversal illusion. But again, the mirror didn't flip anything. Your brain applied the rotation, and the perceived reversal happened because of the mental framework your brain uses to interpret human positions. This is not just about mirrors, it's about how we interpret the world. We're constantly filtering and interpreting information to make sense of it quickly. Our brains are designed to recognize patterns and make snap judgments. But sometimes this process leads us to misunderstandings. Our brain has a tendency to add assumptions that may not match the actual physical world. You might think this is just a quirky perception of mirrors, but it's actually a fundamental example of how your brain constructs reality. It takes the raw sensory input from your eyes and makes sense of it based on patterns it's learned over a lifetime. Sometimes this works perfectly, but other times it leads us to create illusions or misunderstandings, like the left-right reversal of mirrors. So, why does everyone say that mirrors reverse left and right? Because that's the model your brain creates, not because it's what the mirror is actually doing. The reversal you see is not in the mirror itself, but in your perception of it. Once you see that, everything becomes much clearer. The mystery evaporates. The mirror doesn't reverse left and right. It simply flips front and back. And that's all it does. No magic, no mystery, just physics at work. Now that we've established that mirrors don't actually reverse left and right, let's take a moment to zoom out and consider a bigger lesson. This concept of perception and how it shapes our understanding of reality is far-reaching. Mirrors are just one example of how our brains can misinterpret the world around us. And this effect doesn't just happen with reflections. Our brain constantly takes shortcuts, filling in the gaps with assumptions that make things easier to understand. But the truth is, those shortcuts can lead to major misunderstandings. The mirror illusion is a perfect example of this. You've been living your life assuming that mirrors flip left and right. It's something that everyone accepts as true. But it's not the mirror doing something strange. It's your brain making an assumption about what it's seeing. Your brain is trying to interpret a reflection by applying a pattern that makes sense in the context of the way humans interact with each other. It's so automatic that you don't even realize it's happening. But once you understand this, you can start to see how your mind constructs your perception of the world. This is a profound realization. It's not just the mirror that fools you. Your brain is the one doing the trick. It's your brain's assumptions and mental shortcuts that create this illusion. This idea of perception is central to the way you experience reality. The universe doesn't owe you explanations that fit your intuition. In fact, sometimes reality is much stranger than your brain can handle. But that's where science comes in. It's about breaking down those assumptions, asking the right questions, and understanding the world not as it seems, but as it truly is. Think about how you experience the world. Your brain takes in sensory information, light, sound, touch, and more. It then uses all of that data to create a coherent picture of the world around you. But this picture is not reality. It's a mental model, a simulation built from the fragments of data your senses provide. And while this simulation is incredibly useful, it helps you navigate your environment, make quick decisions, and avoid danger. It's not always accurate. The brain's shortcuts work most of the time, but they can also lead you astray. The mirror example shows this perfectly. Your brain sees a reflection, and in an instant, it assumes that the left-right reversal is happening. The mirror isn't actually doing this, but your mind automatically fills in the gap and comes to the conclusion that left is reversed. You can see how this process works because we've just unraveled it step by step. But in your everyday life, you don't pause to question these assumptions. You rely on them without thinking twice. The illusion of the mirror is just one of many examples where your brain's assumptions can create confusion. This brings us to a deeper insight into how physics works. Science is all about questioning these assumptions. It's about seeing through the illusion and getting to the core of what's really happening. This is why science, particularly physics, is so powerful. It helps us see beyond the surface, beyond what our intuition tells us, and uncover the true nature of reality. Just like with the mirror, there are countless instances in the world where things aren't as they seem. And understanding these misconceptions is where true knowledge lies. You've probably encountered other misconceptions in life that seem obvious at first. You might have asked why objects slow down when you stop pushing them, or why the earth doesn't fall down, as if down exists anywhere other than the earth itself. These seem like simple questions with obvious answers, but when you dig deeper, you realize that these are broken questions. The answers you get are incomplete, and they fail to explain the full picture. It's not that these questions don't have answers. It's that the questions themselves are based on faulty assumptions. When we dig deeper into any phenomenon, whether it's gravity, light, or in this case, mirrors, we have to push beyond our surface-level understanding and challenge the assumptions we make about how things work. Physics, at its core, is about questioning everything, looking beyond the obvious, and finding the deeper truths that govern the universe. So, what does this tell us about the mirror? It tells us that our intuition about how mirrors work is flawed. The mirror itself is not responsible for the left-right reversal. It's our brain that creates this illusion. This realization changes everything because it shows us that perception can be deceptive. We're constantly interpreting the world through our own mental filters, and those filters can sometimes obscure the true nature of reality. But by questioning these filters, we can begin to see the world as it truly is. This shift in perspective is exactly what science provides. It gives us the tools to challenge our assumptions, to question the everyday phenomena we think we understand, and to uncover deeper truths that change how we experience the world. The mirror isn't just an optical illusion. It's a lesson in how perception shapes reality. Once you understand this, you can start to see the world differently, with a deeper understanding of the mechanisms at play. Now that we've fully unpacked the mirror illusion, let's explore why this deeper understanding of reality is so important, not just in the context of mirrors, but in our everyday lives. We've just uncovered how your brain's interpretation of the world can create illusions, making you believe something is happening when it isn't. This isn't a rare occurrence. It happens constantly, and it shapes everything you perceive, every step you take, and every decision you make. This is exactly why science exists. It's not about making things more complicated or challenging what's intuitive. It's about peeling back the layers of assumptions that shape our perception of the world, questioning what we think we know, and digging deeper to uncover the real truths underneath. When you start questioning assumptions, like we did with the mirror, you begin to see that what you thought was normal isn't always accurate. The universe doesn't owe you an answer that matches your intuition. It doesn't care whether your brain can visualize it. The universe simply is, and it's up to us to understand it, not through mental shortcuts, but through reason, logic, and observation. One of the biggest takeaways here is that the questions we ask are just as important as the answers we get. Our understanding of the world is shaped by the way we frame our questions. The wrong question will only lead to a wrong answer. We saw this in the case of the mirror, where the whole premise of left-right reversal was based on a flawed assumption. Your brain interpreted the reflection as a flip, but in reality, the mirror wasn't flipping anything. It was reflecting front to back. The perception of a left-right reversal was your brain's creation, a mental shortcut based on an assumption that didn't match the physics of the situation. This idea isn't limited to mirrors. In science, especially physics, questioning assumptions is what leads to breakthroughs. You think you know how something works, but when you dig deeper, when you ask the right questions, you realize how much more there is to understand. This is the heart of scientific inquiry. It's about stepping beyond the easy answers and confronting the unknown. It's uncomfortable, but it's how we learn and grow. Take, for example, the way we understood the motion of objects. For centuries, people assumed that objects slow down because that's their natural state. The question seemed obvious. Everything eventually stops. But when we dug deeper, we realized that objects don't slow down because it's natural. They slow down because friction forces them to. This simple shift in the way we ask the question led to a profound understanding of motion that we now apply to everything from space exploration to everyday mechanics. And this is the same with gravity, with light, with quantum mechanics. The breakthroughs in these fields didn't happen because scientists came up with easy answers. They happened because they questioned the basic assumptions about how the world works. And in doing so, they uncovered truths that fundamentally changed our understanding of the universe. The mirror was just a gateway to understanding this larger principle: how our brains fill in gaps, how our perception creates illusions, and how science helps us see the world for what it truly is. If you take this lesson to heart, you'll begin to see the world differently. You'll realize that what you perceive as normal might not be as it seems. And that's okay. Perception is just one layer of reality. By questioning it, by examining what's behind it, you uncover a whole new world. This is why you should care about these strange, abstract concepts like quantum mechanics and relativity. They're not just for physicists. They're for anyone who wants to understand the true nature of reality. They're for anyone who's tired of living with the illusion of simplicity and wants to dig deeper into the complexity that makes the universe what it is. So, the next time you look in a mirror, remember what you've learned here. Don't just see the reflection. See the physics behind it. See the electromagnetic waves, the photons bouncing off the surface, the way the mirror obeys simple laws to create an image. You don't need to be a physicist to appreciate that. You just need to be curious enough to ask the right questions. The world around you is full of hidden truths, and with the right questions, you can uncover them. The mirror is just one example of how our brains can trick us, but it's also an opportunity. An opportunity to question the assumptions, to dig deeper, and to learn something new. This is why science exists, not to give us easy answers, but to help us see through the illusions and understand the world as it really is. So, the next time you stand in front of a mirror, take a moment. Look at the reflection, but also look at the reality beneath it. Understand that the universe isn't here to cater to your intuition. It's here to challenge it, to make you see beyond what's comfortable, and to help you uncover the truth. The mirror is just a tool. The real magic happens when you start asking the right questions.